Today we are exploring one of the most misunderstood and fascinating small coins in American history, a coin that many people think is ordinary, yet it carries deep historical importance and quiet value. This is the United States One Dime from the year 1967. At first glance, it looks like a simple 10-cent coin, but when we dig deeper into its background, design, metal composition, and current market value, we discover that this small coin tells a big story. The 1967 dime is especially interesting because it was minted during a period of major change in U.S. coinage, and it does not carry a mint mark, which often confuses collectors and beginners alike. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The American public admired Roosevelt for leading the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and his support for the March of Dimes campaign made him a natural choice to appear on the dime. By 1967, Roosevelt had already been on the dime for over 20 years, and his portrait had become one of the most recognized coin designs in the entire country. The obverse, or front side of the 1967 dime, shows a strong left-facing profile of President Roosevelt. The word liberty appears along the left side, and the phrase "In God We Trust" is placed neatly near his neck. The year 1967 is positioned to the right of his face, clean and simple, with no mint mark anywhere on the coin. Many people often ask why the 1967 dime has no mint mark. The reason lies in the turbulent economic situation of the mid-1960s. During this time, the United States faced a nationwide coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins because the value of silver was rising quickly. As a result, everyday transactions were becoming difficult due to the lack of small change in circulation. To solve this crisis, the U.S. government passed special laws between 1965 and 1967 that removed mint marks from all circulating coins. The idea was to discourage collectors and hoarders from favoring coins from specific mints. This means that the 1967 dime was struck at multiple mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but none of them used a mint mark on the coin. That is why all genuine 1967 dimes appear without any letter under the date. Another major change that makes the 1967 dime historically important is its metal composition. Before 1965, dimes were made of 90% silver. But starting in 1965, the United States shifted to a clad composition due to the rising cost of silver. The 1967 dime is made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. This gives the coin its familiar silver-colored appearance without actually containing any silver. Because of this, the 1967 dime does not derive its value from precious metal content like older dimes do. Instead, its value comes from condition, rarity in high grades, errors, and collector demand. On the reverse side of the 1967 dime, we see a clean and elegant design. A torch stands tall in the center, symbolizing liberty. To the left of the torch is an olive branch representing peace, and to the right is an oak branch symbolizing strength and independence. The words United States of America curve around the top, and one dime is written clearly along the bottom. This reverse design reflects the values the nation wanted to emphasize during the Cold War era: freedom, peace through strength, and national unity. Now let us talk about condition, because condition plays the biggest role in determining the value of a 1967 dime today. Most of these coins circulated heavily. They were used for everyday shopping, vending machines, and bus fares. Because of that, many surviving examples show significant wear. A dime in poor or heavily worn condition may only be worth its face value of 10 cents. In average circulated condition, the coin usually sells for around 25 to 50 cents. These are coins with visible wear on Roosevelt's hair, weak details on the torch, and a generally dull surface. However, when we move into fine condition, which you mentioned specifically, the value begins to rise slightly. A 1967 dime in fine condition typically shows clear lettering, a visible date, and moderate wear on the highest points of the design. The torch still has detail, and Roosevelt's facial features are still recognizable without being flat. In today's market, a fine condition 1967 dime usually ranges from $1 to around $2, depending on eye appeal and demand at the time of sale. While this may not sound like a fortune, it is still 10 to 20 times the coin's original face value. As we move into higher grades like extremely fine and about uncirculated, the value increases further. These coins show minimal wear and strong design details. Collectors often pay between $3 and $10 for such examples. But the real excitement begins with uncirculated 1967 dimes. These coins were never used in daily transactions and still retain their original mint luster. In uncirculated condition, a 1967 dime can sell for anywhere between $15 and $50. Some premium examples with strong strikes and brilliant surfaces have even exceeded $100 at auction. Even more valuable are proof and special mint set versions. In 1967, traditional proof sets were temporarily suspended, but the U.S. Mint produced special mint sets instead. These coins have a unique satin-like finish that falls between a regular circulation strike and a traditional proof. A 1967 dime from a special mint set in top condition can be worth between $10 and $40 or more, depending on quality and certification. Error coins are another exciting category for collectors. Some 1967 dimes were struck with mistakes such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, and weak strikes. These error coins are much rarer than standard coins and can sell for significant premiums. Minor errors may sell for $20 to $50, while dramatic and well-documented errors can reach several $100s or even more in some cases. These rare pieces are highly sought after because they represent unique moments in the minting process that will never be repeated the same way again. What makes the 1967 dime especially interesting is the era in which it was produced. The late 1960s were a time of tremendous change in America. The country was deeply involved in the Vietnam War. The civil rights movement was reshaping society. Technology was advancing rapidly, and the U.S. economy was shifting away from precious metals in everyday currency. The 1967 dime stands as a silent witness to all of this history. It passed through the hands of soldiers, students, workers, shopkeepers, and families during one of the most transformative decades in American history. Today, millions of people still unknowingly carry 1967 dimes in their pockets, unaware of the story they hold. While most examples may not make you rich, they still represent an important chapter in American coinage. For beginner collectors, the 1967 dime is an excellent starting point. It is affordable, widely available, and rich in history. For advanced collectors, high-grade examples, special mint set coins, and error varieties offer exciting challenges and investment opportunities. If you are checking your own 1967 dime at home, always start by examining the condition. Look closely at Roosevelt's hair, the details of the torch, and the sharpness of the lettering. Check the edges to ensure they are intact and not damaged. Although the coin does not contain silver, its copper-nickel-clad composition should still show a clean silver-gray surface with a visible copper core on the edge. Avoid cleaning the coin, because cleaning can severely reduce its value in the collector market. The current market value of the 1967 One Dime in fine condition generally falls between $1 and $2, depending on buyer interest and overall market trends. Higher grades command proportionally higher prices, and special or error versions can be worth many times more. Coin values change over time based on demand, inflation, and collector interest, so it is always wise to check updated price guides or consult with a professional coin dealer if you believe you have a rare example. In the end, the 1967 Roosevelt dime teaches us an important lesson. Even the smallest coin can hold great historical meaning. It reminds us of a time when America changed the very metal of its money. It connects us to President Roosevelt's legacy, to the struggles and hopes of the 1960s, and to the everyday lives of millions of people who once used this coin without a second thought. Whether you are a serious collector or just someone curious about old coins, the 1967 dime is a beautiful example of how history, economy, and art come together in the palm of your hand. As your understanding of the 1967 Roosevelt dime deepens, you begin to realize that this small coin is not just a piece of metal, but a witness to shifting economic systems and changing public trust in money itself. During the 1960s, Americans were slowly realizing that the silver coins they once trusted were disappearing from everyday life. People began hoarding older silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars, quietly removing precious metal from circulation. The 1967 dime entered wallets and cash registers as a replacement for those silver pieces, quietly marking the end of an entire era of American currency. At the time, Many citizens were suspicious of this new clad coinage. Some believed the new coins felt lighter, sounded different, and would never carry the same value as the old silver coins. And in many ways, they were right. The emotional trust in precious metal money had been replaced by trust in government-backed currency. The 1967 dime symbolizes this powerful transition from real silver money to modern fiat-based coinage, making it far more historically important than its small face value suggests. Collectors today often describe the 1967 dime as a bridge coin between two worlds. On one side, it carries the familiar Roosevelt design, deeply connected to World War II history and the Great Depression. On the other side, it represents the modern standardized economy where metal value no longer defines purchasing power. For this reason, historians and numismatists alike continue to study and admire this coin, not for riches but for meaning. Another fascinating aspect of the 1967 dime is how widely it traveled. These coins moved rapidly through every corner of the United States. From New York subways to rural town stores, from military bases to school cafeterias, the 1967 dime became one of the most active circulating coins of its time. It paid for coffee, newspapers, bus fare, and candy. It moved silently through generations, witnessing everyday life in ways few historical objects ever could. Many collectors today seek out 1967 dimes that show unique toning or color patterns. Over decades, the copper and nickel layers can react with air and moisture in unpredictable ways. Some coins develop soft golden, blue, purple, or rainbow hues across their surfaces. Though toning alone does not guarantee high value, beautifully toned coins with natural aging are often more desirable than dull gray ones. These cosmetic differences create emotional value beyond simple price. Then there is the field of professional coin grading. Services like PCGS and NGC examine coins under magnification and assign numerical grades based on surface preservation, strike quality, and luster. A 1967 dime graded MS 65 or higher by a top grading service can reach impressive auction prices far beyond what raw, ungraded examples typically sell for. Some top-grade examples have crossed into the hundreds of dollars, proving that even modern clad coins can achieve serious collector value in elite condition. The psychology of coin collecting also plays a major role in why the 1967 dime remains relevant. Many people begin collecting not because of profit, but because of human connection. A collector might search for a 1967 dime because it is the birth year of a parent or grandparent, or because it reminds them of childhood memories of spending coins at local shops. These emotional ties turn ordinary coins into priceless memories. Educational institutions also use the 1967 dime to explain economic change to students. Teachers demonstrate how the elimination of silver from U.S. coinage stabilized circulation but changed the nature of money itself. Students compare pre-1965 silver dimes with post-1965 clad dimes, like the 1967 issue, to visibly see how nationwide policy decisions affect everyday life. In this way, the coin becomes a teaching tool as well as a collectible. Another factor that keeps the 1967 dime in collector discussions is survival rate. While millions were minted, far fewer remain today in untouched condition. Most show wear, scratches, bag marks, or discoloration. Perfect examples are rare not because few were made, but because time has damaged nearly all of them. This natural survival decline is one reason uncirculated and certified 1967 dimes continue to rise slowly in value over the years. Market psychology also influences the price trends of this coin. When silver prices rise sharply, more collectors become interested in all historical coinage, including clad transitional coins like the 1967 dime. Economic uncertainty often drives people into tangible assets, and coins become a safe learning investment. During such periods, even lower-value coins experience increased demand and higher prices. Another interesting topic surrounding the 1967 dime is counterfeit detection. Although rare due to the coin's low face value, some counterfeit pieces exist, especially altered date coins or manipulated error coins. Experienced collectors check for weight accuracy, magnetic properties, edge composition, and strike detail to confirm authenticity. A genuine 1967 dime weighs approximately 2.27 grams and measures about 17.91 millimeters in diameter. Any significant deviation can signal tampering or forgery. Some 1967 dimes were also intentionally plated with gold or other metals as novelty items. While these may look attractive, they usually reduce collector value unless professionally documented. True value lies in originality. Collectors always prefer an untouched coin over a modified one. As time continues, the 1967 dime grows further removed from modern childhood experience. Fewer young people recognize the significance of mint mark removal or silver elimination unless they study it. This makes educational content about such coins even more important today. Every explanation helps preserve knowledge that would otherwise fade quietly into forgotten history. And then there is the future question. What will the 1967 dime be worth in 20, 30, or 50 years? While no one can predict exact prices, history suggests that well-preserved examples will continue to rise slowly as supply decreases. Inflation alone ensures that face value becomes irrelevant. What remains is historical importance, scarcity of condition, and emotional demand. Coins like the 1967 dime also remind us how fast economies evolve. What once paid for multiple meals now barely buys anything. But the memory of that purchasing power remains locked inside the coin. Each scratch tells a story of a transaction that once mattered to someone. The 1967 Roosevelt dime also holds symbolic meaning in the broader global shift away from precious metal currency. Other nations followed similar paths during the same period. The United States was among the leaders in redefining modern circulating money. This small dime represents a quiet economic revolution that changed how the entire world thinks about value. Even museums sometimes display 1967 dimes as part of transitional monetary collections. Though it may sit beside gold and silver coins of far higher material value, its presence tells a different story, the story of trust. Trust in government, trust in systems, and trust in printed and minted promises. The more one studies this coin, the more it reveals. It teaches patience, observation, and respect for history. It shows that value is not always measured in dollars alone, but in meaning, context, and memory.